Concepts, Values and Wise Advice from the Billy Meier Contacts compiled by David Chance, revised October 18, 2023.
Creational laws. See also Creation, a universal consciousness. See explained by the Billy Meier Contacts. See also Creation Energy is Spirit. See explained by the Billy Meier Contacts, a discussion board of FIGU. The mission. Billy, Edouard Albert Meier. Your questions to Billy Meier, answered, archive through the 24th of December 2011.
Joe, Billy, can you please, if possible, explain to me how did the Plejaren come to the conclusion that on Earth the human spirit or spirit forms has to stay the duration it was in the coarse matter world, multiplied by about 1.5 times in the fine matter world? I mean, how is this calculated?
The ratio between the duration to exist in the realm of the other world beyond and the actual life is depending on the distance between a planet and its sun. This is a law of creation and is working normally when there is no overpopulation on a planet. FIGU Bulletin near 78.
FIGU Bulletin 78. What all human beings of Earth should know. Through the laws of the creation, it is also given that the human spirit form reincarnates on the same planet where that human being, who bore that spirit form, has died. Ask its explanations. Part 1.
Through your Billy's own determination, you are destined as a bringer of truth, as already innumerable others were in very early times before you. But to be able to do your mission as such correctly, you must become very much greater in spiritual knowledge than every other Earth human of your time. Therefore, before your birth, you were already placed under the controlled supervision of a certain life form who had to protect, guide, lead, and instruct you. This happened in the same way as with all earlier truth-bringers. Some who were reincarnations of your spirit form, however, were always other personalities who were already selected before their birth, and, after incarnating again, were prepared for their mission. This describes a law of creation, which also cannot be defied. It is the task of each more highly developed life form to stand alongside less developed forms with help in responsible measure to influence the evolution in the appropriate strength. This obligation is incumbent on all life forms of all universes because it is based within a creational law. And when we are here now from what to you is a foreign universe, the Dal universe in the Acon system, this obligation is also incumbent upon us equally with the Earth human. So for that reason, at a given time, we will enter into official contact with more of this universe's own non-terrestrial and highly developed life forms.
Ask its explanations. Part 2.
4th of February 1953. The entirety of mathematics is based in a closed ring which can be calculated at any time by the numbers 3, 7, 12 and 7x7, since the primordial is itself a perfect roundness, perfect to the smallest degree, a roundness of the relatively perfect in mastery of the becoming and passing away in the creation itself. However, it is not permitted for me to explain this in detail and thereby bring the solution of the great mystery to the Earth humans. For in doing so, I would be violating the laws of the primordial being itself. For it is in the will of the primordial being that an evolving life form should itself find its way to the solution of these mysteries, in order to attain the knowledge which will enable the life forms concerned of the most diverse universes and worlds to apply and use their knowledge in accordance with nature and according to the creational guidelines. For if a life form were to attain great knowledge and wisdom at too early a stage in its own development, then an inevitable and unstoppable catastrophe would be the effect and consequence. If these human beings, the Earth humans, are to be helped, then this can only happen if they leave their ways of destruction and perdition and finally free themselves from the delusion of religions, the hunger for power and profit, etc., so that the dark enslaving powers no longer find a target. A complete transformation of the Earth human's way of thinking is necessary in order to be able to follow the laws of creation. And only when the Earth human gives up his or her self-delusion will they become capable of cognition, and thereby observe, learn about, and follow the laws of nature, and thereby also find the way to the creational laws and recommendations, and to follow them. Only then will the human beings of this world have to learn to make the truth of creation, of the spirit, and of eternity their own.
Ask its explanations, Part 6.
That which must occur must not be changed, because otherwise the required course of evolution would be disturbed. For that reason it is a rational duty, in respect of all creational laws, to never influence the future counter to its determination, when a human knows this future.
Contact Report 10.
But essence of wisdom is also the characteristic of a human being who has recognized the existence of his or her spirit and of the material consciousness, and who works with it based on the laws of the creation. Essence of wisdom is a powerful means to recognize the laws of the creation. Love and essence of wisdom belong together, because the creation and the laws of creation are love and essence of wisdom at the same time. The human being, who truthfully lives in accordance with the spiritual laws of the creation, sees and recognizes the creational all around in every life form, in everything, in every thought and action, in every human being, in all the activity of the nature, and also in all imaginable circumstances and occurrences. The human being who follows the laws of the creation becomes the most prosperous and fearless creature.
Contact Report 31.
Euthanasia, however, must never be permitted, and is contrary to the laws of the creation and nature, where it is carried out only for reasons of tiredness of life, pain, sorrow, and worry, feeling abandoned, old age, and as a result of many other things of the same direction.
It should finally be noted that by earthly standards, we are very advanced life forms, and we can no longer move among such low understanding-based levels as the Earth humans find themselves in. This doesn't represent presumption from us, but rather a law of the creation. Like it is with us, it is with all life forms, also the Earth human beings.
Masters and perfects, etc., with 10 or 20 million years of age represent only the absolute fantasy of misguided or deceitful life forms. This also makes it clear that if an Earth human being speaks of a master, etc., of 10 or 20 million years of age having communicated with him or her, that this is quite simply untruth, to say the least. According to the laws of the creation and according to the reality of all time planes, such a master guru or perfect one must have an age of 40 to 60 million years in order to be able to get rid of the material body at all. This, however, does not mean that this being has already reached relative perfection, because until then, 60 to 80 billion, 60,000 to 80,000 years are necessary until the pure spiritual incarnation into the plane of Arahat Atharsata, because also in the semi-spiritual and pure spiritual realms, the creative laws are the same, since becoming and passing determine the course of evolution. Spiritual incarnation, however, is subject to other forms and laws than is the case with material life forms. So a life form of 10 or 20 or 100 or 300 million years of age can never correspond to the pure spiritual form of a being that is even relatively close to perfection. These levels are reached only after the incarnational course of evolution of many billions of years, which, however, without exceptions, are not less than 57,057,000 years. According to earthly terms, and taking the existence of earthly man as an example, 1 or 2 million years of age with the corresponding incarnations correspond approximately to the state of a 9-month-old child after its birth. The death penalty of degenerate human life forms on Earth is still often considered the only lawful manner to protect the healthy and good life forms and to satisfy human laws. But this is wrong and totally contrary to the law of creation. But whoever sees it differently is either religiously biased or otherwise misguided. Even outside Earth, there is not only peace, for the most diverse and innumerable worlds in the universe are inhabited by the most varied life forms of humanoid and sometimes non-humanoid form. Many of them have not yet entered the state of equilibrium and use their weapons to attack other life forms. However, these cannot and must not simply allow themselves to be exterminated and slaughtered, but must fight back. This is a law of the creation, which is extremely recognizable in the laws of nature. If the Earth human being observes the events of nature with just a little interest, he or she will recognize that the first instinct inherent in every individual life form is the instinct of self-preservation, just as it is determined by the laws of nature.
Contact Report 182. A note. Please see the full contact report for the context of this entry.
Through this, during several lives, they will become aware of the awfulness of their wrong and malicious acts that were committed in their present life. Thus, the fallible lives will then be of full thoughtfulness, due to their knowledge that their people will be thousands of years ahead of them, without these ignorant ones being able to come under this knowledge so that they may bring it to use. If we explain these actions in logic and rationality, then we do not act against the existing laws because the laws of creation themselves include such provisions, according to which these natural laws always begin to work whenever a human life form gets very badly out of control of the good human nature and threatens to destroy certain creational goals.
Contact Report 238.
Even mass murderers of the normal and non-code-bound kind are not able to go the normal course of dying, for through their criminal and life-destroying deeds, or through their other capital crimes, they force themselves to a self-punishment of the kind mentioned. According to the law of creation, this self-punishment is given as a logical possibility, but it can only come into function through the illogical thinking of the human being. Illogical thinking is based on the fact that one wrongly assumes that they can get very badly out of control of the good human nature, with impunity, without being called to account. In his illogical thinking, however, one does not recognize that he or she has a conscience that refers him or her via the subconscious to a punishing destiny that affects the dying process. Even if one thinks of a person as having no conscience or only a wicked conscience, then this is not correct, for the conscience does not only work in the form that its work becomes obvious in the life in question, but it also works in the aforementioned form that it sends impulses via the subconscious into the memory banks, and thus creates a destiny for the state before the actual dying process. These kinds of determinations are always and in every case fulfilled and inevitable in all their horrors, fears, and pains. In fact, however, they are a product of the fallible human being himself or herself who, through their conscience, create such determinations which they disregard and do not want. This, however, is the compensating justice through the laws of the creation, which themselves know no punishment and no punitive measures, but only ways by which the human being punishes himself or herself when they misbehave. However, all this has in no wise anything to do with the misunderstood karma through which human beings allegedly then have to atone for their deeds in the previous life, as a new personality in the next life. This assertion is absolutely false and irrelevant, for no creational law knows such a form of karmic punishment or similar nonsense. The self-punishment mentioned is based on completely different things, which I have already explained.